Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. This is HP Shalom. Happy Sunday. Apologize for there being it getting all pushed back a couple times today. Hold on, I am checking the quality of the sound. Well, hopefully the sound is at a good level. I am not speaking from my computer. Completely crashed, couldn't be reinstalled. So I've been scrambling. It's been an interesting week. You know, at the age of 12 or 13, I asked God to have an interesting life. Not for it to be a boring one. Well, careful what you wish for. So I need a moment to collect because I've been trying to put up the donation pieces where people who would like to contribute can contribute a little bit, and it's been nothing but a very frustrating exercise. The GoFundMe page looks great on my end and live, but I've told people can't find it, and if they do, it can't load, and I have 0 pennies, nothing donated, which I don't think that's possible. So I've been trying to set up something through my webpage. I've spent about 30 hours on it over the last 3 days with a friend who knows coding, and nothing but problems. And it should be working, but it's not. So there we are. I very much appreciate the people who have tried to provide some donations, and I apologize for it not working. It's really beyond my control, and we are trying to get something up. So on the notes, I will be putting up a page link to my website, because I am going to host whatever it is on my website. And I tried to build something using a link to PayPal, and I don't know what's wrong. So if you go on my website, there's a new page called, what is it, the name exactly? And it's definitely linked from the web page. Let me see, help support HP Shalom. And if you click on it, it's going to lead to a dedicated page. And it's very secure. And the links, for whatever reason right now, don't work. And the formatting keeps changing as I try to make it simpler and simpler. So if you wouldn't mind, over the next couple days, to occasionally check in on that page, and hopefully something will work. Don't hit for a subscription and see if one of the buttons might allow you to go through. Please do not donate more than $5 until I'm certain everything works. I don't want money to get lost or go into some black hole. So, there we are. I appreciate your support, and I'm really not going to say more about this. It's what things are, but I appreciate you trying, and I know people have been frustrated, and I appreciate. And if people, don't feel called to or don't have the means, I totally understand. Your prayers are wonderful and so important, And, send me good vibes and a prayer. That's wonderful as well. And this is not a money grab, though the support would be nice right now. And I'm doing my best to put up these links. So, this is really a lot more than I ever wanted to say about these things, but such are the circumstances. So if you wouldn't mind occasionally checking on this page, and hopefully something will go through. And so I'm going to take a moment, and I have a wonderful teaching for you all. It's the continuation of last week's. Last week's was fire. I learned a lot studying for it and contemplating it. So much power in an image, huh? An image tells 1,000 words. Well, I've been contemplating this image a little more. Wanted to do a little more research, but the whole PayPal thing really took most of my time. But there was something towards the end of last week's teaching, and I wanted to speak more about a portion of the Herkava vision that was had. And so I'll be elaborating on that today and linking it with mantra. So fasten your seatbelts. I want to say we're going into 8th gear. But this is really kind of more than that. These are very special teachings. I'll say the word. I know some people, view words in a certain way, and I don't like saying words which people might misconstrue, but it fits here. And then I'll explain what I view as the definition of the word. So these teachings, I'm pulling some elements together. It's been a lot. But my first priority is to really help all of us move along and understand things. So, well, you know what? I just launched right into it. So, do you see? This is a good example because everything's a learning experience, right? First thing, when you're frustrated, and God knows I've been over the last couple days, people used to say, it's an opportunity to practice, right? Something comes up, you see it as an obstacle, you're like, this really is not cool, kosher, this is really not what I want in my life, I'm frustrated with the coding. It's an opportunity to practice. It's an opportunity to check yourself, pull it in, and try to find a sense of calm in the storm. And so we could view, in a way, life in that way, presenting us with so many opportunities to practice. I give myself a B grade. Only been sleeping 3 or 4 hours. But one should not grade oneself. You do the best you can under the circumstances. Having the awareness of what's going on and how you're triggered and how you react to it, is huge. We're not just launched, blindly launched, and we lose our complete awareness. You can at least be aware of the emotions, be aware of your frustration, be aware on how you acted out. And, sometimes show your appreciation if it wasn't shown under the heat of the moment, or even apologize for a couple tense messages where you're just not understanding why things aren't working, and then you find out hours later had nothing to do with what the person was doing. It was beyond their circumstances. And then you make amends. Say, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was this, and you find out it's not, and the reality that you perceived was not actually the reality that existed. Right? And that's kind of the nature of our lives sometimes. So there's that. And also recognizing sometimes it's an opportunity, like I mentioned at the beginning, to take a pause before you start to collect your energy. And that's something we all have to be careful of, to always take that moment to steady, be present, align, and pray when you're about to do something important, having an important conversation, dealing with something important at work, rushing in your car to go somewhere. Maybe it's better to take a breath before you zoom out of the driveway, maybe right into an accident because you're not fully aligned as you're driving. So, I am now in the teaching segment, and whatever happened over the last couple days, whatever happened in the first 10 minutes I was speaking is now behind me, and I wish to give a very important teaching. So, and I hope you'll receive it. So we're going to take a moment, and we're going to be now in the present moment, and nothing else exists except what we're doing, right? So we're going to take a deep breath or two. We're going to just relax, maybe a drink of water, and then we're going to discuss this beautiful image and how the Merkava vision from the prophet Ezekiel helps guide us. Let's take a moment. Okay. So, as I was mentioning, these teachings are very special. They're of sort of a special class of teachings. It's what we can call mystical teachings. And it's really I find it mysticism to really be a special place. It's full of awe. Let me give and wonder and exploration in trying to understand. And it's defined as the pursuit of direct personal experience of the divine or ultimate reality, often through inner transformation, contemplation, and union with the sacred beyond the bounds of ordinary perception, reason, or ritual. It's trying to connect with God. It's seeking that first-hand inner encounter with the divine, with Abba, Yahweh, Hashem, Adonai, rather than just a belief about it. It transcends our senses of intellect and our physical senses. A true mystic like Ezekiel and the Herkova chariot teachings really went beyond our normal reality and had a very, 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 very profound vision, which guides us to this day. He had a sense of connection, and it is transformational for him and us. It transforms our soul, our thoughts, our minds, our practices, and reorients us towards a divine will, which of course includes humility, love, and service, and a desire to reconnect with God and to follow His will. So in this Merkava mysticism, it's really seeking divekut. We cleave to God. We wish to follow His way. And as we see with what Ezekiel shows us, it's really the path of the Sephirots and the tree of life. The connection as we clear our Sephirots allows us to have a deeper connection with God. You see, doing our mantras clears that connection. We go from up the tree through the central column. And sadly, since I no longer have connection to my computer, I cannot show you an image of the tree of life, but I'm sure you've seen it over the last many weeks. So hopefully you have a copy on your computer or something. Let me check real fast if I have put it on my website. I can download it. I don't think I did. Well, it's the central channel. It's the middle column. No. So, as we weave and clear that sort of experience that's beyond us is possible, because we always have that connection to wisdom and divine understanding, the three upper Sephirots. Yes, sort of that triad at the top of the tree of life. Let me see if I could find an image. There's a nice one. See if I can quickly pull this one in. Yeah. Shalom. Nice. It's colorful. Yeah, it's worth the effort. There's our friend. Tree of Life. There's no English. But remember, so the first three at the very top with Keter, Bina, and I can't quite see. Let me open and Hokmah. So Hokmah is wisdom and Bina is understanding. So as we clear the lower ones, the ones beneath, right? The 7 beneath, the 7 lower ones, including kingdom, the one at the very bottom, that allows us to move up the tree of life. So there's, on this one, there is one connection missing, and that's from Tiferet up to Keter. That, in a way, sort of is the bridge we're trying to make. We're trying to go from kingdom. See, it's not right what I just put up. So this is why you have to be careful. It says Shekin at the bottom. Yeah, so this is a good example. I like showing by example. That is not a good one to put up. There's a missing connection, and the name on the lower Shifarot, which I do as kingdom, is not showing as Malakut, which is what I'm used to. Maybe this is something also okay, but maybe not. So this is an example on how to be careful when one explores, like I've been warning people, because you could encounter all sorts of things, and especially if you're don't have a full understanding of the teaching, you might think it's correct and it's not. So this is sort of why it's a problem. So I'm glad. So, I feel like a lot what comes up in these teachings sometimes are meant to be. There's people of all levels. And so especially for people who are starting out, this is something kind of valuable to see, and how one sort of goes about understanding how to do an exploration and the sort of dangers. So do we see the difference between this and the other one? It's night and day. This one's very beautiful, actually. Beautiful. I think I will put it in pictures whenever I'm able to deal with my computer. And it even has Da'at, the secret Tiferet. Very beautiful, with Hebrew letters. And we see that Tiferet, Da'at, the hidden Sifrot, and we see with Tiferet that there's the link up to Keter. The other one energetically was not correct. It literally did not indicate the sensual link back to God and the Ein Sof and the Oran Sof. Do we see how it really wasn't right? And by us looking at it, our conscious or subconscious mind would recognize that, whether we're aware of it or not, and therefore we're creating in our minds or subconscious mind the concept that it's broken and may not exist, which is completely wrong. So images are very important. Teachings are very important. There's a lot out there from different traditions, and not all of it is something one should look at. I'm traditional. When I look at a teaching, I look how it was taught by the people who were the experts at it, and I go from that. The ancient teachings are entirely profound. Modern is not better. My experience is the further you get away from a source of a teaching, sadly, the more it has degraded. It is best to go right to the source, and you would see it when it was in full bloom. These teachings of the tree of life were in full bloom many, many centuries ago. So 1500s, 1300s, 1600s, into modern time, but it was, it's a couple hundred years ago before, it's been a while. So it's important. So what I wish to share today is to continue on the Merkava teaching. It was a sharing, a vision that indicated extremely profound way of going along and learning how to connect with God. So as you see with this wonderful image here, the connection up the central column, as the human rises up, his energy rises, the Shekhinah goes up to meet God. We went through all the different levels last week. I was not able, and now I'm not capable of breaking it down into 1 hour to 1.5 hour segments and to process it. So it's still in the live section of the YouTube channel where you can find it. So if you wish to listen, it's there. So it's the rising. This is the ascent, right? So the number 7 is really what I wanted to discuss. So in the Merkava vision, he discusses the 7 heavens, the 7 angels, and the 7 palaces. It's seen that the chariot ascends to 7 levels, or heavens, each representing a stage in our journey. As we ascend in connect, it almost has a very mystical nature. It's beyond what we think is possible. We move through our density as we rise and able to connect to different things, and the way we perceive is different. We become kind of unlocked. We are able to understand things in a different way than most people around us, because we've expanded our awareness and our understanding. The 7 angels that accompany the chariot or guard the chariot, and then 7 palaces. The mystical journey involves traversing 7 palaces or halls before reaching the divine throne. So these are so in the teaching, the vision, the palaces that are discussed are heavenly realms that a person, a mystic, a soul, needs to ascend through, one by one, to reach the innermost chamber where the divine presence, the Shekhinah, Oh, the throne of glory where Hashem resides. So as we see this vision we have is that ascend, and we remember the rainbow lights are the blessings of God that descend as we reach up, clearing each sifrot. The number 7 on its own represents the number of completion and spiritual fullness. It is a very, very blessed number, cannot be divided. It's a powerful number. It also corresponds to the 7 Sifirot. All of this is not a coincidence that there's a lot of 7s. It all comes back down to the Sifirot. In the Merkava vision, the wheel of the chariot signifies, they're always moving. It signifies the movement and how the chariot is very dynamic and alive. And remember, the movement always corresponded to where God wishes it to be. It functions in union with the Shekhinah. So the lower 7 Sifirot are different aspects of our emanation and also of divine emanation, and different levels of our journey. It can reflect different divine qualities if it's going from the top down, from Yahweh down, from Adonai down, or also with regard to how the energy moves in our body. It can show how we're off balance with different blocks to open too much of the female aspect of the energy, or to close down, tight, focused too much of the masculine energy. And to find the balance where everything flows, where we're not stuck, is when we flow properly. So it's a blessing down of all the Sifirot as our understanding of the rainbow lights that I discussed there last week on the vision, and also our ascent as we clear. As we ascend, our energy rises like the person has wings, as in the vision, in the picture, and we become lighter as we clear. Our energy rises up, and then the energy comes down. So each Sifirot embodies a specific aspect of divine protection and guidance. And each guardian would correspond to a different quality, a guide or protection for those who journey through these mystical palaces towards the divine. Back then, they kind of saw it in that way. It could coincide with an angel. But what we're talking is about a frequency and an energy. All these higher frequencies from God are very conscious in that they're very intelligent. It's not merely a light blowing into a room indiscriminately. These are energies that affect us in a deep way and move and heal and adjust exactly where we are in a perfect aligned way. And that is how we could see each rainbow light here would correspond in this teaching as being an angel or a guardian. Each one has sort of its role, and it's aligned with each Sifirot. So these energies help us with different aspects of who we are, and it guides and purifies us, aligns us, heals us towards a more profound connection with the divine, to our true self, to our higher purpose. And really the ascent through the Merkava chariot, the ascent with the aid of the Shekhinah and riding the Shekhinah back towards God is a journey of returning to our divine source, aligning ourselves with the pure emanating light of God. And the journey through this vision represents the process of purification and alignment. And each energy, viewed, embodied as an angel, signified, or the vision showed it as an angel, these energies from God are meant to guide and support us, helping us to refine, heal, and align each sephira back to its pristine, aligned nature. That's our birthright. The guardianship of Yahweh, of the Shekhinah, or the 7 angels that surround the chariot, is really a sacred act of spiritual guidance. And it ensures that we evolve. As our alignment, each sephira, is restored to its highest potential as we clear. So we rise up Jacob's ladder, we go one step higher, and we clear. And as we get higher, we're closer to the blessings. We're closer to the blessings that are associated with that level of attainment. Each has its different mix. Each needs something a little different, because as we move, we work at different levels of each palace, each sephira, and also we're able to work more with sephiras that are higher up. Therefore, the mix of what we need of blessings change, because the sort of lay of the land has changed. At the beginning, one needs a lot of motivation and encouragement and deep healing to become a little lighter. As one moves on, you're in greater need of wisdom and understanding and able to connect with the energy. And then different blessings are necessary depending on the stage that one is on. And as one works on a particular aspect of healing, it not only affects where we are, but also things we have worked through or partially also heal as well, whether we're aware of it or not. It's not we're just healing X. We're healing everything in our system, because as one heals one part, which we're aware of, what we're working on, it fundamentally links to everything in our emotional system, our bodies, our psyche. They're all the sephiros, as we can see from the image, are very much linked. Nothing is in isolation here. I mean, do we see here? They're linked diagonally, they're linked up and down, they're linked sideways. This is so important to understand. Nothing in our minds, our bodies, or subconscious exists in isolation. So if we're like clearing Hesed, do you see how it affects Dot? How it affects, I have to blow it up so I could read. Gavua, how it affects Tiferet, how it's linked to Netzah, or Hukmah, or linked to Bina through Da'at. Do we see? Or linked down to Hod. And this is what it's sort of getting at, that everything on the journey affects the rest. So it affects places we've been and worked through, further deepening the flow there and then this deeper understandings at that level. But also, it clears blocks that might have occurred in the future, because it's like a glass of water. As you clear it, all the water goes down, the level goes down. Water clearing anywhere, removing of the water from a glass, doesn't matter where you remove it from, the overall level and clearing is consistent. You see, I think it's important. People think, oh, I'm stuck here. I can't get past this, right? Something that's happened to them or whatever they feel might be a block. Well, as you're working with that, with patience and understanding, non-judgment, kindness, all these qualities lead to a relaxation in one's flow, and therefore the constriction is lessened and a greater chance for it to pass through. If one locks into it with judgment, resentment, pushing, it actually increases the constriction and makes it harder to move, right? So if one pulls a muscle, you massage it to relax it, right? You take Advil to relax it. You might put a cream to relax it. By the way, if you have a pulled muscle, arnica gel, Arnica, is really excellent. Try to get as close to 100%. I use it all the time. I like giving little tidbits like this to help people. It helps relieve the pain. It's a flower, I believe, or is it a root? It's a flower. By releasing it, the energy flows, the blood flows, the tightness goes away, and then things are able to move through the body. But if you tighten it, it constricts and gets worse. So when we go through something, we're open, we try to relax, and it's all energy, my friends. The content of where it came from, our thoughts about it, may be important to talk through so we can heal. So I'm not talking about that level. I'm talking at a deeper energetic level. So I want to be clear. Sometimes, the context and things does need to be addressed to, talking to a friend or therapy. It's very important because that lessens the tightness. But from an energy point of view, beneath that, yes, what happened, our thoughts about it, the content are completely not relevant. If we focus on that, remember we're talking about a deeper level here. You could work at deeper levels with time. At the deeper level, getting caught on the energy, what is the thoughts and emotions associated with it, stops the energy from leaving. Because we've caught it. It's in our mind, our emotions are triggered, then we tighten around it, you see? So we don't ignore it. It's like a light touch. Okay, I see this is what's going on, right? You get a temperature of it possibly. It's hard not to. Cold, hot, burning, anger. You don't give into it. You relax. It doesn't matter what the content is. Doesn't matter what it is. What did cause it does matter. We're talking at the energetic level. It's about allowing the energy to leave. Sometimes when I'm in deep meditation, this huge thing just leaves my body And I'm like, oh my God, what was that? And I would be like, thank God I don't know what the content of that was. If I got stuck there, boy, and it left. I don't know what it was. I really don't care. And I'm thankful I don't know. The point is the clearing, the lowering of the level of the glass or the battery, the tension, the charge in the battery being lowered. That's ultimately what matters. So if you look at the tree of life, we get stuck when our battery's at 100%. All these connections of the Sephirah are all clogged. So it doesn't matter where the lowering of the temperature, where the clearing comes from. The major clearing could come from hood. It can come from, it doesn't matter what orientation it comes from, but it lowers the charge overall. So in another place, there might be more movement. In a place we're not even aware of. And so the point is to relax. So when we do mantra, we let go. This all is going to link back to mantra, by the way. Hint, hint. Just to give you a heads up where we're headed. You let go into the flow. Yes. And the energy of the blessed vibrations. And that weaves through our bodies, through our Sephiras. And it just naturally does its sort of blessing. It's sort of magic, for lack of a better word. We don't understand fully where it's working, what it's doing, but we sense better. We sense an alignment. We sense a connection, right? If you're doing it and you feel less connected and you feel worse, then something's going on. So I don't think it's possible for that to really happen with these blessed names. But maybe you're using the wrong combination or you're pushing too hard. You have to kind of work with it and get sort of your sea legs about it. But one feels better, more aligned, mind calmer, because the disordered energy in our bodies are aligning more to the central column. Does that make sense? This is sort of what's going on within us. So I'm explaining it from an energetic point of view because that's how I walked my path. I did not have the blessings of these teachings to guide me. But I do understand energy. And I do understand on how to work with it. And it's very practical. If you keep it to energy, not only is it fascinating and you can't make this stuff up, but it eliminates certain problems of getting stuck there. Now, that doesn't mean I have not gone to therapy over certain issues that happen in my life because I desperately need it. And I love my therapist to this day for it. It helped because that's mental trauma. Those are thoughts that are linked directly into the mind, and that needs to sort of be addressed. But underneath it all is the foundation of energy. And the energy gets stuck in these different palaces, these different ways that our energy moves. If you go one level beneath the tree of life, you're getting to the chakras. And let me tell you, they're real. They are definitely real. I feel them. They are real. Just take my word for it. Look, we all hear chakra blocks. Sounds 70s. No, it's a real thing. And it's literally where energy is blocked in our bodies. I've always had let me give you my major block. I've always had problems expressing myself, owning my power, and speaking up when somebody is doing something, or even able to give my opinion on things. That is throat chakra blocks. Clearly, and I used to feel it, and I used to literally choke right there in the throat. You cannot make this stuff up. And that's the block. So how did I deal with it? Sense of self-worth, sense of I'm safe if I express myself. which in my childhood I was not safe at all if I expressed myself. So if my therapist, I had to work on that part. Yes, childhood trauma, we all have it. Most of us, those who don't, are truly blessed, right? Right? So that helped, but it was also, see, the thought slipped from my mind. Give me a second here. Yeah, well, that's the first time that's happened in 2 years. Well, let's move back to my notes. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. Yes, so chakra blocks. I worked on that, and that works with different chakras other than the throat, but it helped eliminate the distortion. I remember once I had an intense thing that happened, and I couldn't give my perspective. I just never, it was a huge thing I had to work through. I don't have this problem anymore. It took years, and I was well into my 30s, so we're dealing in early 40s. It's, things take a while sometimes. The issue, I was literally choking. I literally was choking in my throat, and I felt this massive ball there. That's an energy issue. Couldn't express, couldn't speak, and the energy got stuck in the throat. People have heart blocks, heart chakra. They can't feel things. They don't understand or emphasize with people. Sometimes comes with trauma, or sometimes that's just the way they naturally are. And we could try to work with that. People can't have a vision. They can't connect with God. They feel disconnected. That's the upper chakras, third eye, the crown. And people have problems manifesting, being active in the world, finding strength in how you pursue life. That's the solar plexus, the third chakra. So they all work together. And as we heal, the flow works. The flow works at the basic energy structure of the body, the chakras, the channels. Then our thoughts, our psychology, the way we address how our life manifests, right, at the tree of life level, kind of one level above, different form of understanding. They do not fully, completely align. So don't look for a complete alignment. It's similar, and there's similarities, but there's also differences. So it's two different modalities from different cultures, but it helps. So as we work through our palaces, we're addressing all 7 of them at the same time. Okay? This is where it gets profound, my friends. So that was literally the structure. So these angels, these energies, right? So you have to remember the vision was a long time ago. The understanding of energies and different energies is not quite as evolved, more than likely, or maybe they were more evolved than we were. But we've had many centuries to come to a deeper understanding of frequencies and energies, so they called them angels. But even in these teachings, they're seen as the extensions or manifestations of the Shekhinah, as these teachings evolved with time. And it's really God's energy manifested here, the Shekhinah, that guides us, our souls, our presence, our consciousness through the divine chariot. And the Shekhinah's presence is felt as a nurturing, protective force, ensuring that the journey through each palace is aligned with divine will. We are not alone when we do this. We are not fumbling in the dark. Even if we're starting and it feels a little clunky, there's a lot of grace and blessing, and the energy, the Shekhinah, will guide us. We have to have a little trust with awareness. Where am I going? Am I feeling better? How is this progressing? Oh, this is, it's, wow, I'm kind of like this. It feels good, and I feel like, wow, it's making a positive difference. Then please continue, right? So there's always an awareness as to what we're doing. It's never just launching ourselves blindly through and never assessing. We don't drive our car without looking at the exits and make sure we're on the right direction, right? A couple times I was not paying attention. I missed my exit. Sometimes it was 25 minutes before I noticed. I was on a call in the car, and I realized, where am I? I'm not in my neighborhood. I'm not in a good neighborhood. And there's traffic on the other side of the freeway, and I need to make a U-turn, and I was an hour late because I wasn't assessing where I was in the journey. So we always need to look where we're headed and guide it. It's guided through intelligence. Remember the three upper sifirot, Chokmah and Bima. Wisdom on the right, wisdom. So it's the feminine aspect, open, expansive, right? This has nothing to do with male or female of human beings at all. And Bina, that's the sort of understanding when we've processed the wisdom and grounded it, and we've come to a conclusion or a way it's more constricted. It's sort of the understanding we get from the space of wisdom. Does that make sense? And so we walk smartly. If we walk blindly, oh, everything good, everything love, oh yeah, if you don't think it is, then it don't exist. I've spoken about this before. That's a lot of chokmah, and I would say it's a lot of space, but not with a lot of wisdom. And there's certainly a lack of understanding to the reality. Yes? The Shekhinah naturally puts us in the alignment, even if we ourselves do have no idea how to do it. It's a very important point. So we look where we are in the freeway, we're assessing, we're intelligent, not when we're doing the practice. Though sometimes I say, take a moment, look where you are. How did you feel 5-10 minutes ago? That's how you get confidence and understanding in your assessing. Are you feeling more amped up? Does that make you feel unwell? Then maybe it's not the right name. I will get more into that a little later. But we're always sort of assessing, and we don't necessarily know. We have confidence in the path, and we have confidence in the names, and we feel confident on how it's leading us because we could feel and we could see differences, and they're positive. But we don't necessarily know which way we're going to turn. It's because we're riding the chariot of the Merkava Shekhinah. You see, the chariot is the embodiment of God's blessings, which we see in this picture with the rainbow color lights. That's the manifestation of the blessings of the Shekhinah. Told you it was going to get profound. One moment. I love profound teachings. I could study them for hundreds, if not thousands of years and not get bored. So we have an understanding here, right? So it shows The importance, we don't need to figure it out. We need to know the basics, and we need to apply it. This path is all about application. It's about doing the practice. All of this is fascinating. But I teach it not for us to get bogged down in the details of it. Notice there's probably levels deeper than this, but this is really all you need to know. This is applicable. And it's all about walking the ladder up. It's all about riding the chariot. The chariot is guided by God's intent. Where God turns his gaze, so does the chariot, so does the angels. It's literally the Shekhinah. And you grow in trust where you let go. The difference between us, and we're all Emmanuel manifestations, it's just the question at what level we are. It doesn't mean we're God ultimately. Be careful there. But to what extent do we manifest in God as God's embodied grace here? And ultimately, it's really how much we let go into a more purified alignment and wisdom. And it doesn't mean we let go of ourselves. It just means we're the best part of ourselves. Our highest frequencies have manifested here in this dimension. Not necessarily when we go up to a heaven dimension. Do you see? It's the let go of the resistance, and ultimately in the divine mercy and trust that God has got us. God's got our back. God's guidance. As we see, we're lifting with that beautiful angel imagery there, which I just cannot get enough of. You have the density of the man, right? Hands held out, right? That's a hands of open. When you do it, just do it now, here in your room. I'm doing it. And look up a little bit like he is. What do you feel? It's an opening for something in front of you. It's you really opening your energetic field. It's a opening to receive. And you see that this angel has actually, 6 hands? But it's not necessarily even an angel. It just shows the quality of what's going on, of energy. Once you understand energy, you could see what this means with these placements of hands. So the first one, closest with the palms towards the man, you see, is the blessing, because there's chakras in each hand. This is why when people give blessings, they put the palms forward. There's a reason. I know, before I thought it was just the way it's done, until you understand energy and you realize there's a lot more. When you have your aha moment and you can't make it up moment, sort of thing. So it's a blessing coming down as the chariot, and it goes through the man. Do you see? It's blessing at his very deep core, at his heart center, right? Teferet is the heart, the energetic center of the body. Do you see? The angel himself is up in surrender, opening himself to the energy of the man in a denser form. There's no resistance to what's going on in his reality. It's taking it and moving with it. Do you see? It's a surrender of it's the same person, by the way, right? It's the grounded aspect opening to the higher aspect of ourselves, the higher Sephirots, and the Sephirots are open to our kingdom. Do you see? It's the rising up and the rising down. It's literally the upwards and downwards part of Jacob's ladder right there in that piece. And then he has his head up, and then the hands are up. That's literally an energetic pose directly into the third eye or the crown chakra. That's the divine wisdom to the upper sephirots. That's when you've cleared and you're in that central channel, and it's going above the chakra, above the head, divinity, beyond us. That's Keter, and then beyond. Does that make sense? We're always getting those upper chakra, crown and above, whether we realize it or not. If we weren't, we would not be alive. So we all have that flow, period. So it's there. The connection is to open that faucet so there's that flow. It's ultimately, we are walking, my dear friends, the path of surrender. We are surrendering the baser parts of ourselves. That's a good way for non-native speakers. Are more, less refined, embarrassing, harder, constricted, animalistic. Our lower, here we go, the lower vibrational parts of ourselves. It's a surrender of what we think we might be locked in these lower densities to an openness to something greater, of releasing it, evolving, right? So, example off the top of my mind. I hope my examples are always perfect when one logically thinks them through, but sometimes, it's just at the level it is, and don't try to get too far from it than what it's just trying to say. It's just a general comment on that. Anger. Irrational anger. You get angry, you hit someone, they deserve it or not. Does anybody ever deserve it? Well, if you're being attacked and it's self-defense, and you need to, well, then you need to. Self-defense. Bible, you defend yourself. That's legit, right? Proper exercise of a more aggressive act, right? But victimizing people or randomly hitting people, whatever, not so good. But here's the healing. Somebody clears, right? Very angry person, very abusive, clears that anger through his practice, right? It's a sense of judgment, ultimately, that's not proper, and an action that's not proper, ultimately, right? That's the two things. Your misjudgment, not applying that force in the right way, and you're not perceiving the situation properly, and you're indulgent, right? Let's say you refine it. Well, aren't those refined characteristics with the intelligence on how to refine it and not how to act on it, which is wisdom, right? You need the wisdom. He's receiving wisdom and it changes him, right? As long as maybe therapy and understanding why there's anger from the childhood, see, it all fits in, and allowing the flow through yoga so the energy processes through at a deeper level, all these things, the person could become a judge. A little shocking, right? Difference. Big. One's on one side and one's on the other side. But properly exercised wisdom and action with justice, which can be viewed as an aggressive act when putting somebody in jail, right? Giving a fine, right? That's an act of movement, of it's not hitting someone, but and it has an effect on people, right? But it's being properly applied in wisdom, and it's balanced, hopefully, and it's wise. the qualities that somebody who has anger issues are working in developing. So we see how what can be viewed as poisonous, right, can be transformed or transmuted into positive elements. And that's what we're kind of doing with our lives. So the person starts on the lower chakra, right? Well, he has lower chakra issues. You see the person at the bottom, he's opening himself up to changing, right? This is not the best version of himself, right? He opens to change. I want to change. I want to be a better part of myself. I don't like it. I don't like maybe it just might be, I don't like the consequences of being in jail, so I want to change. It doesn't matter what the motivation is. The motivation is you wish to change, you open, and as you evolve, higher aspects come up, the refined versions of those qualities. You see the wisdom that person's innocent, I shouldn't hit him, that wisdom that violence in this situation is not proper, the wisdom of there's going to be consequences I don't want in my life if I go down this route, and the control to refrain from those actions as he walks up. So people are afraid they're going to lose themselves as they do this. It is a fear. I had it. Everybody does. This is why I gave this example. Has he lost himself? Is that no longer him? That's food for thought. That's a good thing to contemplate and to come to your understanding. Somebody who's chronically depressed, woe is me, not confident, doesn't bathe because of depression, poor self-esteem, clears all that up. Shines like a peacock, beautiful, proper, confident, just glows, fills the room, able to get everything done and does it perfectly. Is that a different person? Yeah? Still the same person. Very much so. And a happier point. The thing is not to get locked in to think, that's who I am. Then you've literally locked yourself in. But we're open to healing. And as we heal, our density lessens. And we're connected with a much deeper wisdom and a great holding and blessing. Yes? Because the Merkava, which wants us to be the Shekhinah of God wishing us to be whole and healed. And so the path of walking it and letting go of things, damage, bad thoughts, wrong knowledge, and releasing into something that's the inherent truth with a capital T, and there is such a thing. Ultimate truth is not relative, it's ultimate. The truth of everything, there is a truth to everything, because there is a reality, and it all is in alignment with God. And what we're doing is we're surrendering to our best selves and our alignment in relation to that truth. And everybody has a different personality, so their orientation to that truth and how it manifests in their individual lives, that part is relative and specific to each individual. This is why we have different paths. This is why one person might like one mantra or the other, while what one person might like one aspect or kind of my teachings or practices and not necessarily another one. And it's why I teach so many different things, because everybody's a little different. Some focus on my teachings and I'm trying to encourage them to practice. There's the other extreme. There's people who just want to do the practice and they don't want to listen to this. So do you see there's pros and there's cons? Important to have some knowledge, but not get trapped in the study that you don't practice, and also just always be in the practice and feel you could do it on your own, and not understanding the centuries, the millennia of very powerful teachers and yogis and mystics and sacred Torah and Tanakh and transmissions that exist to guide us. We are not forging this path fresh. This is a well-laid road, and many, many people have walked it to great success. And there's so many books. But ultimately, we have to walk it skillfully, and there's guidance. And this picture and these teachings really shows the path of surrender and the blessings that come down, and how we're unconditionally held. Especially when you make the effort, because it is noble. It's highly respectable. And it doesn't matter from which place or frequency from which you start, because you're making that effort. Yes? Nobody is beyond redemption. Yahweh's, Hashem's, Adonai's, Elohim's, Abba's grace is beyond human understanding. Ultimately, he wants us all to come back to him. Do we repair the links? Do we repair our sifrot? Do we try to? Do we have the desire to? Do we put our car on the road? Maybe a Pinto. The windshield might be broken or blackened. We don't see where we're going. But have we pulled onto the on-ramp? Even 2 miles per hour, but we have a commitment to move forward. And especially with these practices, the car will quickly heal ourselves. Our sifrot will heal ourselves. Our thoughts, our minds, our actions will heal themselves. This is a sacred alchemy. This is a way we work with the energy of God to transform ourselves. This is the path of transformation from where we are to where we ought to be, to where lies our birthright. And what God wishes for us, and ultimately, truly, in our hearts of hearts, what we wish for ourselves. To grow, to heal, to manifest the best part. And even if we're not able to have those desires right now, in their full way, do we make a little movement in that direction, even if we really don't fully understand that reality, or having those big statements with a period without any qualifications? That could come with time, but are we making some movement? So we continue with these teachings here. So the Merkava chariot, the Shekhinah chariot, it's the divine vehicle that carries us through these spiritual realms of the chakras, of the sifrots, these different levels in our being that requires the movement of energy. Remember, I said life is found in the breath. Life is found in the chi. Chi is life energy within us. So you see, this Shekhinah can be seen in a very profound way as that sacred energy of the movement of the life force within us. The chi is always perfect. The innate life force, the prana, is always aligned, always perfect, always clean, always moving. The question is, the blocks, do we block the flow? Do we cause it to pool so it doesn't flow properly through the sephirots or our chakras? See, I know this is true because I learned from the energetic way to this. So for a long time, I understood the energy of things. I'm empathic. I understand energy. So I naturally came from that angle. So it's literally unblocking the flow of our plumbing, psychic thoughts, subconscious thoughts, energy flows, energy currents in our minds, through our pathways in our minds and in our bodies. Are we making that cleansing so it flows properly? There's a young person outside. Let me close the window. You see, it's all about the flow. Now, I wouldn't necessarily... No, that statement I was about to say can be misunderstood. So we're not going to say that. See, there's sayings you can say, but if it could also be misinterpreted depending where someone is on the path. Like I said, it could be the greatest blessing at a certain level, or if somebody is at a different level, it could be the greatest poison because it's misunderstood. And they don't have the clarity or the flow. They're not in the right palace to understand it the way it is meant to be understood. You understand? So this is why when one goes back eventually through my teachings, I hope you will, if you feel called to, after you've done this for a couple years, right? You'll pick up different levels you've never seen because your understanding is different. You'll be like, oh, I get that. And then because the Shekhinah is more invested in you, you're able to connect. It's always invested in us, but it's more connected because we've opened our connection, right? You'll take a sentence or two and then you'll make connections in your mind that I never spoke about. Maybe pointed to, maybe implied, or not. And you'll get additional levels on your own because your understanding of this has matured. There's a great logic behind all of this. And once you begin to understand, and I keep trying to point out to it and I give examples about it, then it's easy to understand different aspects, even if you weren't taught specifically about it. See, I saw this picture. I understood immediately what it meant. Then I had to study it to really understand what it means in this specific tradition. And then I had to assess, is this accurate? Do you see? But when you understand the flow of energy, you immediately see how profound it is. Even if you don't have the specific knowledge. But me sharing the knowledge clearly and repeating myself from last week and this week with different examples, hopefully clarifies that this is the entire path, regardless of the level that you are at. This is literally what we are all doing. And it's safe. Because we are aligning to God. What are we moving towards? Where are we going? But even if you don't believe in God, and I'm sure there's people who are listening who don't, and you are more than welcome, or people of different religions, try this if you feel appropriate for you, and see where it goes energetically. At the very least, you'll have a healing, and at the very least, you'll come to an understanding. There's never a commitment. You're not signing on the dotted line. But it's a trial and error. And even if you believe in God, and even if you come from this tradition, this is the Jewish tradition here we're talking about, there still needs to be a desire to try. And there might be fear there. But hopefully I've explained enough, that's the understanding that there doesn't need to be a fear here, because this is the path to live in greater keeping. It's the path of cleaving to God in a greater way and becoming better persons by working with the energy in our blocks in a very, very direct, powerful way. But it's not too much. And we just work on our own pace. But it's working with the Shekhinah and ourselves and manifesting the energy that clears with intelligence. I've gotten way ahead of myself on my notes, so if you can give me one moment as I go through. And we are enveloped as we go in this path in God's love and wisdom, and we feel it more and more as we move up. And these energies, or these angels, can be seated in the chariot. They move with it, or some appear to steer it or to guide it, but it's always in alignment with God. Just going back to the imagery here of the vision. And we become more and more aligned with the chariot as we move along the path, because the perfection that we're trying to ride and infuse with becomes more and more part of us. And the chariot surrounds us, it shelters us, it carries us. It descends to meet the seeker. And then it rises with us toward an ever greater union with God. And so the movement of when we say a mantra of the name of God can be considered the movement of the Shekhinah that's coming forth by us uttering the sacred names and the syllables and sounds that come from it. You see? That's literally what's happening, and that's why it's grounded in the actual names of God. And not just sounds that don't mean anything, or long forgotten by centuries and centuries and centuries, by civilizations that no longer exist, or by other beings or deities, which bring forth other energies. And that's with a lowercase d. Or other religions. Do you see? So it's important to be anchored properly, because the flow of that energy is sacred when it's Shekhinah. trustworthy completely when it's Shekhinah. And Shekhinah only comes from Hashem, from Adonai. So the Shekhinah is not only, it's both the presence of God and the vehicle that God uses on this planet to help us. The energy, the blessing that transcends into this dimension, that flows, that's available. Otherwise, how would we get back there? How? We wouldn't, how? I don't think it'd be possible. How would we? There's a connection here. There's an energetic availability. Otherwise, we'd be moving in a void, and in a void, and we wouldn't know, like in space, how, what direction, in what way. There's no pull. There's nothing to feed us, nothing to give us that wisdom or hint. There's nothing to manifest with that mantra. It's cut off. We are not cut off. We are not cut off here. So someone who's not fully aligned may not sit in the actual chariot, because remember, the actual chariot is in full union with the desire and direction of Yahweh on how he chooses to move. But we could still be around it in its orbit, drawn by its pull, and occasionally touched or illuminated by its motion, by its energy. And at the beginning, it's a little here, a little there, maybe a little, oh my God, and then 3 or 4 months before another, oh my God, or a year. But as one moves, it becomes more and more frequent, because we're rising through that central channel and there's less blocks. So the flow is there. Do you see? We're moving up into Da'at. We're moving, we're in alignment, the flow of all these different elements, up, down, sideways, all of them are flowing together in union, and they each have their qualities. But what happens when all these qualities start mixing together? They're adding to each other, and the flow of each one is truly moving through us with less and less blocks together. That becomes a completely empowered and conscious person. You're moving up in the levels of an Emmanuel manifestation, because your flow from divinity is becoming greater and greater. Your ability to tiku yourself, to heal yourself, is greater. The ability to heal our world is greater. Our vibration rises. So when we naturally leave this world, we just naturally lift without any effort, because we don't have density as much. We're already moved back, pulled back into our energetic body. We're moving towards Yesod. We're not fully up in kingdom, Malkut, but we're already so resonant with energy of our body, of our sensual, with all our sifrots in Yesod, we're already moving up. And therefore, we're already up at that higher part of ourselves with the wings, more at an angelic high frequency. And then there's only one direction possible. You understand? But if we increase in our density and get heavier and heavier and heavier, then there's a lot of lack of an ability to connect with the higher frequencies, and that can cause a problem. We become more and more reliant on a great act of grace and blessing from Yahweh to transcend that. versus by us doing and practicing and praying, doing mitzvot and learning and doing through our actions on the planet, how we treat each other, and doing our practice, we are naturally creating a situation where we always like the blessing and grace, but we're not dependent on it to transcend, because we've worked with those blessings during our life, so we're naturally already higher. When our body naturally, through what we've done, naturally increases, and it's already at a higher vibration. Do you see? We've done our work. It's not like we receive the graces and blessings or else we're in trouble. We're not in trouble. We love the blessings and graces, but we're not dependent because we're not in trouble. We don't need somebody to come in and save us because we're drowning. Do you see? We've worked and we've learned to swim and we've undrowned ourselves. Yes? We've empowered ourselves. So along the path, people get close to the palaces. Well, that's a different theory, which I'm not discussing. It's older and it could be misunderstood. So when we're outside the sphere, we could be more unaware and unaligned. The sphere of the Shekhinah, the sphere of the chariot, right? But as we orbit it, we get drawn to divine truth, but we're not fully purified. And once we're seated in it, we're aligned with divine will, speech, action, and we've surrendered to it. It's not we become enslaved by it, but we realize in our true self, we've always been resonating with that surrender, that alignment to truth. And ultimately, when we live in that truth, we're the highest version of ourselves. It's who we truly are. And we have not lost ourselves in the process. It's like gold. And we've cleared through the dirt. And there it is. At our core, there's solid gold. And that's a teaching across many traditions. I'm going through my notes. Of course, I've jumped way ahead. So one has to, at some point, watch out about too much study and work on surrendering, on presence. Cleverness and understanding doesn't open the chariot to the Shekhinah with us. It could help, but ultimately it opens to those who are devoted, and for those who have cleared the obstacles that they have from being able to get in greater resonance, to be able to feel those energies of the Shekhinah chariot. So there's really both aspects. And understanding is important. Right now we've spent a while studying, correct? But it's more than that. And the different palaces currently reflect the state of our souls. But hopefully they're an active transformation. So the entire journey is to remove any hidden impurities, any blocks. As we move along, we heal deeper and deeper aspects, and it becomes actually easier. We remove any spiritual shadows. We work through sometimes physical illnesses or blocks. And we polish our egos to when it's in alignment with Yahweh. But it's not an ego anymore. It's more of the pure self, the inner cathedral that's always been there, not on the dirt and impurities that we think is ourselves, but it's really not. And we act in alignment of what is proper for any given situation. We really can't will through our intent our way through it. We really must align and to surrender to the energy of what that alignment can be, and what the energy of that alignment and clearing. You begin to develop ever and ever greater levels of trust. It's not blind trust. It's based on experience. Because you're looking at your journey and you realize this is inherently trustworthy, and therefore you can relax. When you're on the road and you don't know how to get to San Francisco, and there's a lot of winding roads, you're concerned. But at some point you've seen so many indications that you're definitely on the road to San Francisco, you relax. Oh yeah, I'm definitely on the right road. Yep, headed in the right direction. Oh, the mountains are gone. Now it's straight. Oh yeah, it's the freeway is now straight up, right? If you go up the Central Valley in California, straight up. You really can't turn off the road and get lost because there's one highway going up most of the way. And that's when you've kind of built up your momentum and you have an understanding and you know which way is north and west, and you don't have any issue pulling off to a rest stop or to a gas station, or taking a moment to get a breath, because the path is now very clear to you, and you have, through the 2 hours you've driven to get to that spot, a confidence. We are developing confidence. For the first moment, I started initially learning, understanding, what is this? I don't understand almost any of this. Is it real? Is it work? And then at some point I realized I have to do it, or else this is useless, number one. And number two, I'm not going to be able to have the experiences or the movement that I'm reading about in the very texts I'm studying. I have to apply it. It's the two wings of the bird. One is understanding, and the other one is sort of doing, applying it. And in a way, as we move along the Shekhinah, it's applying it in ever better ways. And the Shekhinah carries us, so we don't really have to do much anymore. We just have to agree to move with that momentum, and it directs us. And we've developed a confidence that it directs us to places that's for our better good. And so the ascent is, you surrender, it transforms. If you get stuck in a place and you hold on to it, it can get uncomfortable. Because then you're locking into a density, which happens. Some things are dense. And then you work with it. But when you clear that, whole parts move and you're happier. You're not drawn to it. You know, some people on antidepressants based on trauma, bad trauma, PTSD. But if you do the therapy and you've cleared it, honestly, really have cleared it, then maybe antidepressants, your doctor might say one day, why don't we lower the dose? And then with the course of time, you're no longer on it because the need for it is no longer there. Because you've worked through it and you've transformed it. But when you were starting, you needed that help because you were stuck there and you had to process something that was very challenging. But also we don't go digging. Oh, blah, blah, did that. Oh my God, what did that friend do to me back then in 5th grade? Oh, he did that. Oh, he did that. Oh my God, I lost 3 friends because he lied behind my back. And then we've engaged in an anger of something that might have happened 30 years ago. For somebody, that friend, do you even remember his name? Do you even remember the other friends you've lost? Even remember their faces? No, but you remember the energy, and now you've held on to it. Was that necessary? And have you held on to it so tightly that you're going to speak to a therapist about that particular issue, not some other issue? Do you see how you've created a density versus the energy? Oh, that happened. Oh, that hurt me. Oof. Exhale, release. You've touched on, you see it, let it go. Poof, gone. And the more you work on the energy channels, the easier it flows out. Because you've worked with a lot of density. You've worked through deeper issues and resistance. So the channels are clearer. Because you've done with a lot of the major issues. And sometimes just energy leaves, just leaving. It's everything we've sort of held on to. And it's there encoded in our bodies. It's very much encoded in the bones of our legs. It's like a battery of layers of things that we've held on to. And we, by riding the Merkava, leave it. And so the names, the mantras, they're really not... Hold on, that's another one moment. And we're not perfect. We don't need to be perfect to be worthy of this. That's putting the cart, the wagon, in front of the horse. That's not how it works. We just need to be willing to walk the path towards something more purified and perfect. Our worthiness comes with time as we do this. It's not the sense, I'm not worthy, therefore I can't. That's, with all due respect, backwards. And it's a problem thinking that way, because then you don't walk on the path to make yourself worthy, to make yourself think that you're worthy. Let me say that. Because we're all worthy. We just start from different places, but having that internal judgment keeps us from doing things that help us, or at least help us think that we're more worthy. But we could also have poor self-esteem issues, and everybody else around us might think we are worthy. Or even if everybody agrees we're not worthy, but that's what the spiritual path is. To be better. So at some point we are worthy, if it's literally, if we work that paradigm. But I don't like the use of that word at all. But no matter where you are, it's open. It's not necessarily you need worthiness to even walk it. I'm not worthy of this. I'm not at that level. Oh, I have to do this, and... No. This works from the beginner to the most advanced. And there's no entrance requirement here. The opening, the invitation is open. The door is open. The question is, do we choose to walk through it? The palace gates are open. Do we choose to work our way through them, clear the walls of those palaces, so the energy, the beauty, the wind, the divine wind of the Shekhinah is able to blow through and work their way through them, so we can feel the flow through all our palaces. And ultimately, the flow, the source of the flow, the source of the Shekhinah, the very embodiment of the Merkava chariot is God Himself. If you look at the image, that's this sort of N symbol. Do we see that? The true source, beyond name, beyond concept, even the symbol really doesn't work, but it's the source. That white light. You see the star right above the head? It's not white. It's the light before it hits a prism. In that light, blinding light, is all the colors in it. It's not white. It's the clear light from which everything manifests in our reality. Everything that manifested into our universe. It's beyond the universe. It's from which the universe in us we came. There's no name, there's no concept of it. It's beyond our understanding. Each time I try to think of it, I feel like my mind is expanding, and then it hurts. And I get an error 404. It's beyond our able to grasp something. The source of the whiteness of that, and you see it signified. And from that, like a light hitting a crystal, comes out all the colors, all the forms in our world, the trees, the animals, us, our different personalities. But there is a purity in that flow. The lights of rainbows is pure. The rainbow, it's the pure energy of the Shekhinah, undefiled, aligned, intelligent, not impure, full of blessing, but it comes from Yahweh. And that's where I'm going to stop. If I have a little more to say on this, we'll just bring that up next week. I wanted to do some mantra work. I've been speaking much longer than I thought I would. Oh, I started at 11 and it's 1, only 2 hours. Oh, thank God, I thought it was 3. We're going to take a 10-minute walk, maybe do like a little walk, 10-minute pause, and then we're going to work a little bit, practice a little bit. I'm not going to teach new names. We're going to work on what we already have. And there's a little something I want to share about these. And we'll just do a little practice together, because that's literally the embodiment of what I've been talking about. The teaching is beautiful and great, and it's one of the most amazing teachings and blessings and images that I have come across in all my religious studies, period. If not the most amazing one I've ever come across. But it's not something to be framed on the wall or in a folder on a computer or even a wallpaper. Though, it could be quite inspiring to have it on the wallpaper to remind us that, and to have the blessings of that. The names in Hebrew there have great blessings. All that Hebrew, it has an energy and a current and a blessing in it. Because what it refers to, and also the nature of the language and how the sounds of the language and how ancient it is, and the Torah was written in that language. It carries great, great blessing. So we get the blessing of the image, but it's not just that. What this image represents is a roadmap. And a roadmap is meant to be used. And it's an energetic roadmap. Clearing energy, guiding energy, moving energy, directing energy. and going with the flow of that energy and releasing our resistance and our desire to go in different directions, which that energy is not moving us towards. We call it not being aligned. Misalignment from this sensual column. A little to the left, a little right. Your ego wants to do this, but we know we ought to do that. All of it is about being aligned. And the alignment comes from the central channel, from the central column. And these mantras here on your screen is the tools, the most powerful tools that I know of, which I've practiced and I've come to have an understanding of and a confidence in. They've helped me. These are the most powerful technology that I know of to bring the Shekhinah that flows through these sacred names. These are doors to energy of the Shekhinah, of the chariot. And we come to have experiences of it. And then we come to realize that the water is safe. And I teach how to navigate that water. 2-3 weeks ago, I gave a big teaching on mantra. Look in the video section. 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row, I've said so much about mantra and how to work it, and it flew through and I did not prepare. It is 95% more than my teachers gave me. When I started, I got more teachings along the way. I read some more out of books, but a lot I've worked through on my own. On certain paths, they don't tell you things. So you make mistakes, you're fumbling in the dark, and honestly, it takes longer. I share so people feel safe and confident. I mention kind of how to orient yourself around it based on my experience and the experience I've seen of friends and the good, the bad, the ugly, the pitfalls, right? And so we have an understanding so we can better, safely, quickly navigate it without kind of fumbling in the dark. But ultimately, we have to turn on the engine and move down the road. So we're going to take 10 minutes. We're going to put our key in the engine. We're going to light our shrines. And we're going to practice one of these names. And we're going to spend a little time just doing it together. Group practice after having an understanding of what we're doing and the importance of it. Wonderful. 10 minutes, my friends. We'll reconvene 1:13 p.m. Pacific time. Alrighty. So if people are back or head back, and we'll sort of start. I hope people lit their shrines, put up a little incense. But there's a little something I want to say first. Move the microphone to the right spot. People who've already lit the incense, I always kind of like looking at it, how it rises in the room. I find it very instructive as to energetic currents. It's a real thing, and with time one kind of discovers the orientation of that. Beautiful. So we have a little sheet here, the songs we're working on. I spoke about the first 3 last week. We're not going to go into the other ones this week, though I ask people to explore them if they wish, to get an understanding of the orientation of the names and how they fit when you move them around. And of course, you're welcome to further move these around, even beyond what's on this sheet. But these are ones that I've worked with. Putting several names together really creates an energy. I've spoken about that last week and the week before. So I think last week I mentioned compounded names. So we work with it, and saying several names together really creates a frequency. One name is sometimes is enough, especially if you're further along the path. But at the beginning, mentioning several names at a time really helps us really feel it. And if one is going through problems, sometimes saying multiple names is very, very powerful. So why don't we stretch our legs? It's important to have the flow through the legs, whatever gives your legs some release. For me, it's just having the legs upright and trying to touch the toes and just feeling the tension from the bottom of the foot, from the bottom of the leg, right up into the butt area. That's where I think it's called the hamstrings. It tends to be the tightest. So I just try to move that because it's important the energy from the legs move up into the body, because the flow of energy starts from the foot. Chakras start from the perineum, which is sort of between the legs. But there's 2 chakras in the feet. And we feel grounded from the earth. This is why some people like walking barefoot. And so a lot of energy comes from the legs, and it helps us clear the energies in our legs. Otherwise, it really wouldn't work. Energy comes from one side of the body, the hands, the foot, the perineum, and then goes out the other side. So by stretching our legs, we're allowing energy to come into the left leg, and then it also leaves to the right leg. So we're working with the actual pathways of energy in our body. With stretching, relaxes tension. Where there's no tension, it flows. It's the beaver dams, right? The beavers block the flow of the rivers. right? So tense muscles block the flow of blood, block the flow of the nerves, creates blockages, which we hear as pain or numbness or an inability to feel pressure, right? So by stretching, we allow and help the energy clear and elongate so there's a flow. And we feel more relaxed. We feel less tense, correct? You see, less tense, more relaxed. We've sort of lowered the water level of tension in our body, and then when it flows, when we do the practice of mantra, there's less for the mantra to have to work through, for us to feel it and to ride the current. Mantras, we ride the current of the sound and of the sacred names. In a way, we're surfers. We're surfing the current of the mantra. The mantra is our wave, and we ride the wave that we're creating. We move with it, we let go into it, we lose ourselves in it. See, we're at home, we're in a safe place, hopefully, so we can let go into the current, like we let go into a song that we like, right? We let go into the crash of the waves, or the wind through the trees in a forest, or we let go into the sound of birds, right? We let go into a lot of things. We even let go into the movies we watch, right? And get lost in it. So why can't we get lost in our prayers? Get lost in the beautiful incense rising up in front of our shrines, or the light of the candle, the manifestation of the Shekhinah that we are bringing, asking God to embody as it's lit. Why can't the flame be the holy presence of God? And why wouldn't he not want to have his presence here if we ask him to come, to bless our room with light? Ultimately, like I said in the thing, the purest light is the presence of God, and it's white, right? And so it helps us consciously, subconsciously, to be in that relation with him, because we're in a relation to the light in front of us, the sacred objects we've put on our shrine, even if they're a couple things. They could be a Torah. The central object of our shrine could be a Torah, a Tanakh, could be some jewelry, can be the pictures of sacred things, or it could just simply be the candle. You know, over the years, my prayer space has evolved from being very complex to just being a candle, and then back again. It's what I've needed. And you need different things at different times, and depending on which sifrot or energy you're working with, mantra may feel well for one stage in your life, and then you feel like it's done what it's needed to do, or not for right now, and you need to look for another one, because you're clearing a different energy, and the different names, especially when you do multiple names, kind of work for certain things. And when things shift, another one might be more effective for that, because you're working at a different frequency, probably in a different palace. And one may work for one, may not work so well for another one, and could vary from person to person. And that's the beauty of the exploration of the path. And as you do that for a while, you come to have an understanding of energy, how it affects you, how it works, how it heals you, and how it works through your body, and how the ramifications of that, the positive qualities, manifest in one's life. It's all through experience. So today, as I was scrambling to try to get the page up, not successfully, I started pulling together what to speak about, and I pulled the names. I said we're going to practice on one name. So, a very powerful name, and I say this respectfully. This is a prayer space. This is a prayer channel. These are religious teachings, so I think it's appropriate to say this name in this context, though it's never said publicly normally in certain contexts for people, and it's normally said inside, depending on your tradition. There's different ways of perceiving the name, and this pronunciation is not often said. So, Adonai Hashem Yadveh Vahe, I say Yahweh. So one I've done for a long time is Yahweh El Shaddai. That is a very, very, very powerful mantra. Very, very, very powerful. That's literally the power of God. And you put the two together with the electricity voltage of God, El Shaddai, with Yahweh, you've got a potent combination. And sometimes in your life, when you feel you're encountering obstacles, you want to do it. Very interestingly today, I looked at the name and I'm like, no. Yahweh Wafa El Shaddai. Yahweh, God Almighty, that heals us. And that felt to me today as a proper name. I wasn't able, with the restrictions I have with a laptop, barely being able to do the teaching at all today, and I give thanks that I was able to do it. I wasn't certain. I couldn't edit the form with you, but Ralpha, R-A-L-P-A, I believe it is, and it means that heals. And don't we need healing? Doesn't our world need healing? It's supple, the energy. It's less masculine. Yahweh El Shaddai is sharp, powerful, very masculine. Adding the Rapha adds an openness, but it's powerful in its own way. It's like an antibiotic, a medicine, to heal, to clear us of emotions we're going through, like frustration, or too much intensity, too much desire to push through, less acceptance of the situation, less what I want, how I want it, right? To something of bringing in God's presence to anoint and heal and help us regain our balance in ourselves, our families, our world, and our lives. It's the use of a very powerful name of God to heal. And ultimately, the chariot, riding the chariot, is riding the path of healing. The chariot is the embodiment of healing, the bringing home to our source, bringing back our palaces to its pristine condition. It's healing. Things that hold us back, things that block us, trauma, relationships, things that are affecting our world. It's the bringing back of the alignment of all the palaces, all the sephirots, our society's sephirots, the world and the planet's sephirots. We all have a tree of life. The imbalances in one can affect the balances in the other. The imbalances in our world can affect the imbalances in our relationship, in our bodies. And ultimately, the imbalances in ourselves and in our relationships affect our society and our countries and the world, which in turn affect other people who might not have been that imbalanced before, but then they become so. Ultimately, the Shekhinah chariot is the graces of God represented by those rainbow lights coming down from Him, those graces that restore balance. They're healing. There's nothing to fear of these names because they bring back into balance what was disordered, out of order, not in alignment. So today, I felt very strongly the second I said the name and instantly switched with Rafa in the middle, just naturally. And I'm like, oh my God. And I don't think, it's been many years, but I think I did use it in the past, but it just didn't sit so powerfully as it did today. And so I'm going to invite all of us to consider saying that name inside, outside. If you don't wish to use that name, then you could, replace it with, like above, Abba, Elohim, whatever, Emmanuel, whatever name of God you wish to choose, you could replace Yahweh with that name to where you feel more comfortable. I will use Yahweh because, that name is my main practice. At some point, you settle somewhere. And I'm kind of there for now, maybe forever, who knows? It's a journey. So we're going to do this together for a little while. And I invite you to let go into the flow. You say it, you feel the vibration, and you surf it. You ride the wave. You don't resist the wave, because then you can't catch the wave. And you allow it, like radio signal or something, like the wind, to go through you, in you, and let it carry you. You relax into it. One moment. My sound engineer is back. My cat had left us. So do we see? So it's just allowing the Shekhinah in, and there's nothing to fear, and there's no such thing as being unworthy. That's a block, a self-imposed block. God has his hand outstretched. The Shekhinah is everywhere on this planet and infused in everything, otherwise it can't exist. Do we connect? So we have to reach out and connect. And by saying these mantras, we are manifesting a sound with our desire to connect. And because we're in our prayer space, it's a safe place to release. We're not going to walk into a wall. We're not in any danger. We're inside. We're in a safe place. So we say the name, and we work and understand these energies, and we let go into it. Say it continuously, say it a couple times, then say it again. It's how you feel to do it. There are practices when you say a mantra for years. Well, you can for years, but not continuously, for an hour or two. But it depends on the mantra, it depends how you feel, depends how your body is, depends on your abilities, it depends how it works for you at that day and time, that it's not going to be too much. Yeah, so there's a whole range here. So I got out my prayer beads. It helps anchor me, and honestly, I'm so using them that when I recite, I like having them, and it blesses them. And I just kind of like that tradition of, I have 72 beads. So I'm going to do that. So if you hear a little rattle, that's the beads. And we're going to say it. So Yahweh Rapha El Shaddai. Yahweh God Almighty that heals us, that heals our world, that heals our society. We're just going to say it with the intent of healing. We're not going to make it about us. We're not going to make it about our situation. We're not going to think about any of that. Our presence is the name. We release our thoughts, our emotions. Thoughts and emotions may come up. You keep saying the name and you focus, release into the name. It's not a heavy grasping focus. It's not so light that you forget it. You're anchored in the name. You're saying the name. If you're lost in thought, 5 minutes you're gone on some storyline or thinking about something, that's okay. You restart the mantra when you remember, no judgment, it's practice, and you come back to saying the name. Ultimately, you say the name, you feel the energy, and it all becomes about saying the name. And you will feel with time the energy circulate in your body, and you will feel the energy go up your body to the top of your head, and you will get back will be very straight, you'll be very aligned. And you're not really looking at the room, you're literally in a tornado of energy. Not so much a tornado, but it's a spiral, or it's through you, and you're just in the most beautiful, soft, gentle energy that's healing, aligned, and highly blessed. And you can feel the Shekhinah of God in a very tangible way. And yes, we are all worthy. But we've cleared enough that the central channel, the central column, the energy is able to flow. But when we've come into the room to sit down, before we sit down, it might be all shades distorted. We might be coming in at 1,000,000 miles per hour, all frustrated or angry or whatever. We sit down and we do it. It clears the distortions, the imbalances, lines us up, and we release. Well, we release into the energy of the name, and we open without any expectation as to what we might find. And we don't have disappointment if we don't feel anything initially, or for that day, even if you're well experienced. But the saying of the name itself is a prayer. It is a complete prayer. The energy knows, it's able to read your energy. Because energy meeting energy, they both sense the quality of it. The Shekhinah of the name is conscious. It's God's consciousness, God's blessing. It knows what's wrong with us. It knows our desires. It knows why we're upset. We don't need to really articulate it. It's literally encoded in the energy we're feeling, or in the thoughts we had before. It's all there. So we just literally say the name, and we're sitting in a presence of the divine frequency. We're near or on, depending on what level, the chariot, and we're feeling the radiance of it. And we're bathed in it. We're bathing in the 24 karat light of God. You could visualize the mantras as 24 karat color, 24 karat gold light of the mantra. It could also be visualized as white. I've never really gone into the other colors with this, but for me it tends to be a bright light, the light that comes before the rainbow, or 24 karat if I wish to manifest something, but often it comes up on its own. So if something like that happens, you trust the name. If you see more of a particular color, you got to trust that there's a reason for that. And then afterwards, after you've closed your light, your candle, or before, after you finish your practice, especially if you're new, then be like, what happened? What did I experience? Don't process during, but afterwards, oh, I feel so much better. Wow, I had that experience. Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't feel anything, but it was a good prayer I had. I'm glad I spent the time with God. And that's beautiful. That is a movement along the Sephirots in and of itself. No practice that we do is ever wasted or is never perfected and complete. Don't have expectations as to what it should be or what it should not be. You trust in the flow that whatever arises is perfect, even if we don't fully understand. As we work through the energy, things come, we let it go. We don't get stuck on things. We see something coming, we feel a density, we will exhale, release. With practice, we're able to release it up our chakras just with the intent, but you have to clear, kind of move it up. It's a practice, it takes time. Maybe one day I'll teach it when I feel more people are there, but there's a thing, there's a way, but we could always ride the mantra. Sometimes you could feel the energy moving in a counterclockwise, the opposite direction of the hands of the clock, up us from our spine around. So it's coming from 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and it kind of spirals up. That's energy unwinding itself through our body, moving up. It's counterclockwise. It's just the way it works. So you may feel things move, and you feel density moving up your head, like waves of energy just moving and around and swirling. But you're dancing with the Shekhinah, which is inherently trustworthy. You're dancing with the 7 color lights at the top of the diagram, which is ultimately the clear, bright light that transcends everything, which we can't conceive of. We are connecting with the purest blessing, purest healing, the purest wisdom, purest compassion and love and holding and care beyond our understanding. That is the essence of everything there is. So, Yahweh Rapha El Shaddai, or you may add another name of God in this, but kindly keep it with the El Shaddai at the end, so we're all sort of in the same place. Feeling 15 minutes. So if you need to re-stretch or have a little something to drink like I just did, I'm going to re-stretch, especially if you're in full lotus. Might be good to just give your body a little stretch. Half lotus is great, by the way. I did that for years. Just that's one leg up, the other one isn't. It's all on my shrine, all on my website. And just remember, every 10-15 minutes, when one side starts feeling a little numb because it's not fully balanced, it's a half lotus, you switch to the other leg. And that's what brings in the balance. Don't hold something when it gets numb. It happens, you don't notice, and then it is. Don't get up immediately, you'll fall. Everybody's done that. Just try to be mindful. And you balance the two. And that brings the balance in your practice. 10, 15, 17 minutes on one, then you flip to the other. That's a really good one, the half lotus. There's also Zen meditation benches, which I used for a while in retreats. I loved. It has to be the right height for you. If it's too high, too low, it kind of has to be perfect, well done. So you have to check the sizes, the height and how it's situated. I loved it. I still have it. It's actually right here. I'm looking at it. Haven't used it in years, but it's still there. So, alrighty. Lining up. breathing. So people can start with mantra first. When you get more of a comfort level with the one you're working in, you could gently add pranayama to the different noses that I've taught before. I still didn't teach the last step. It'll come one day. And, right, and then because it clears first, so it's very helpful before mantra work to do it, but I want people to have a feeling for it, because by doing the pranayama, it clears a lot of imbalances in the winds, the chi, prana of the body. And so when you do mantra, it has less to balance, and it makes the mantras that much stronger. But, learn to swim, and then you add layers as you feel more comfortable, and that's at your own pace. Okay, but I wanted to put that in for people who have more practice in certain things or more clear, and they feel, they want to do that, so that's possible. But for people who are new to it, just stick with the mantras for now. It's more than enough. All right. Stretch your hands over your top of your head to elongate your spine a little bit. Give a little stretch to the spine. I had a few cracks. That lines up the spine, and that's where the energy rises. Notice the ladder of Jacob's ladder. The ladder could be the spine. It's profound teachings right out of the Torah. So there's guidance. So he's riding up the central column, up the chakras to God, right, at the top. And then the blessings come down. Those are the angels going up and down the ladder. The Shekhinah moving up, connecting to God. Nobody seems to talk about that it's not just going up. Then the energy comes back down and blesses and heals us. So there's the path of going up, and then there's the path of bringing the energy back down. So it has its own path in healing to work through, and then it goes back up. So it circles up and down like a circle. It's both, right? The chariot, the angels going up and down. Do you see what's going on here? It's extremely profound, mystical. It's very beyond our understanding, yet I've explained it to you. But it's dealing with an element we really can't fully understand, that energy and the blessing. And we tap into something that is beyond us. Something we really can't create on our own. It's a divine energy and frequency. Yeah? Okay. A little more to drink. So any last stretching people need to do, I'll say it with you for a while. At some point when I feel I'm launching into my own practice, I will turn off the mic. But we'll go for about 15 minutes. So 2:01 looks good to me. So go at your own pace. Do how you feel to do it. Just be present in the sound and in the energy, and just let go into it. It's a moving stream of Shekhinah through the woods. Golden light, trees, beautiful walks. The river's not too fast, not too slow. It's not cold, it's not hot. It's the perfect temperature. Beautiful sunny day. Birds are chirping. It's gorgeous. And you're just releasing and letting go and enjoying life. So, Yahweh Wafa. relax. You feel energy relax. Just breathe and relax. Tension will release and let go as you do it, and just relax, let go. Body will readjust. There's no intent, you're just saying it. The healing energy of God, of union. Shekhinah is divine union. We heal as we join. So if there's certain situations or people in your life you want to bring that energy towards, you just bring that image or that situation to your mind lightly, and you bring the mantra into it. You visualize, it's the power of the mind in practice. You use it as a tool. See the situation lightly, and you just say the mantra as if you're sending the mantra through the situation. And you feel it, the energy of the visualization or what you feel just leave, because the mantra's gone through it, and then you go back into what you, in your presence of the name. And you believe that you've sent the healing and Yahweh into that situation energetically as it clears. Now, if it doesn't clear and it's dense, then maybe you stay there for a while. But you're not in the storyline. You're kind of feeling the energy of it, and you're sending Yahweh's Rapha, Yahweh's healing. Yahweh Rapha El Shaddai. Abba Rapha El Shaddai. Hashem Rapha El Shaddai. Adonai Rapha El Shaddai. You see, Elohim Rapha El Shaddai. Hashem Rapha El Shaddai. Abba Rapha El Shaddai. You see, and you just there, and it's just the light energy. It's a very balanced name, actually. It's very much a central column name. I feel it and think about it. It's alignment. It's not aggressive, I want it to shift. It's just bringing in the Shekhinah into the situation. It just brings in the Shekhinah. And let the Shekhinah do its thing. It's in very much keeping, I guess, with what I shared today. We just ride the chariot and let the chariot do its thing. And it's perfect. Yahweh Wafa Shara, Yahweh Wafa Shara. these practices, we're really inviting God into our lives, into our energy, into our issues, to our alignment. And by releasing into the stream, the current of the names, we are releasing into Him in trust. And it's healing, it's aligning, it's not judging. It's bringing back into alignment what was constricted or blocked. Ultimately, we're giving ourselves the gift into coming back into the fullness of who we truly are, the sons and daughters of Yahweh. May Yahweh bless us, bless our families, bless our world, bless our week. May His blessings always rest with us. May we always feel we live in them, and may we be able to summon them when we need them in our lives for guidance, love, holding. Amen. Feel free to continue if you wish. I wish you a very blessed week, and if you feel so called, kindly visit the page on the website, www.wisdomoftheshalom. There'll be a link to it, the last link, and check in occasionally to see if it might be up. Please don't donate more than $5. We need to see how it all works. But at the very least, please send prayers. I pray for all of you. I hope you pray for each other. And I hope you include me as well. In a way, we are family along the path, and we hold each other, and we pray for each other, and we're all heading home in ever fuller alignment with the Shekhinah. Thank you again, and I look forward to being with you all next week.